I welcome you to my first video in English. I am Hasenbraten from the German part of pokerstrategy.com. I'm playing today two tables of no limit $5 on the Party Poker networks for you. My screen name is Me Bet You Fold. I'm sitting here and here. I have not played like that many hands on the tables, just fixing the programs to start, and right now I'm going to. And here I'm sitting out. I don't know why. Sometimes I have some problems with the program, but never mind that. Today I'm pre-flop. I'm playing by the starting hands chart, so all of my decisions will be explained by it, and I highly recommend this for every starter, because if you don't, you will be getting some real trouble hands post flop, and you will going to be having that many problems post flop that if you do not use this starting hands chart for beginning, because there might be hands that are not listed in the starting hands chart that a good player might be playing in some positions that a new player shouldn't be playing, just because you do not know the game well enough to know how to play this hand post flop. So we decided just to avoid difficult situations post flop by not playing it. So we're looking up in the starting hands chart where it says we are not raising here with King Jack offsuit if we have callers before us, and we do have several, so we just call the big blind and see a flop, hope to see a flop cheaply. He just went all in the last hand also. With King Jack somebody might consider calling, but I'm definitely not, because even if it just has a bare ace like ace deuce or something, I'm still behind, and the pot is not that big already before his all in that I should call. And right after somebody called, I'm definitely not gonna call, so I can fold here. Here we have pocket nines. The starting hands chart says raise, so I'm gonna raise up to 4 big blinds because I have no callers in front of me. If I do have callers in front of me or blind posters behind me that posted the blind in addition to the big blind, I'm raising more because the pot is bigger and you don't want to give anybody the correct odds pre-flop to call. So now we have a semi-interesting flop. We have an open-ended straight draw with an underpair. We're definitely doing the continuation betting here because we just have one William who is out of position, so basically he has to do all his decisions before we do. And the most likely action he's gonna do is check and then fold, or he's gonna check and then call. Both of which is I'm sorry for my English, I'm not a native speaker. I hope you do get it right, and it's okay. But sometimes I'm missing some words. Here I'm just gonna fold because the problem is I'm ahead of basically nothing, and I might be already drawing that or drawing really thin. Well, he had aces, I was behind, he completely misplayed this hand. I'm gonna explain to you because I do not have any hand actually to comment on. I'm rebuying every time I lose some money, because all money I do not have on the table I'm not able to win from particular Williams that do have the same amount or more than I do on the table, like he has. And on this table he is on the table with $12 with 300 big blinds. So I should be on the table, if I'm playing big stack strategy, I should be on the table with the possible maximum. So here I can buy in for 125 big blinds. So I'm gonna do exactly that, because if I don't, I'm just losing value against people who do have 125 or more big blinds on the table. So here 10-4 offsuit is just an easy fold. Offsuit, I don't know how much I should be explaining, so I'm explaining it. Offsuit just means they're not in the same suit. Here we have spades and hearts, so it's offsuit. If it was both hearts or both spades, it was suited. But okay, back to the hand here where he had aces, he showed aces. it was completely misplayed by him for the reason that he's out of position pre-flop, and I'm raising. He had like I'm not that sure, like a little bit more than 50 big blinds for the start. So his main goal should be to get all in pre-flop with aces. If he's just calling, he's letting 3 cards off, and since aces is the best possible starting hand, the possibility that my hand improves more than his hand does improve post flop is pretty big. And many hands I'm raising might be way behind pre-flop, like my hand was, but could be ahead post-flop. And with many hands, I'm not investing money on the flop if I do not improve to a better hand than his. On the other hand, his hand gets to play real hard, even with just 50 or 60 big blinds post-flop, if he does not re-raise because the pot is rather small. He hit one of the worst flops he could have. There was Queen Jack 10. Okay, there was no flush draw, that could have been worse. But basically, many hands I raise from this position have him beat by now, or at least have a lot of outs. If I have like King Queen, I have a pair plus an open ended straight draw. Okay, he's holding 2 cards for my straight, so I just have 6 outs for the straight, but I still do have 6 outs for the straight, plus 2 outs for the queen. The king is no out since the king is giving him an out, but also my hand had like 6 outs against him. He does not want me to draw on that. So one more thing here, we have a caller in front of us, but the starting hands chart still says raise, so we are raising. Here we are raising to 20 cents because we raised like 4 times the big blinds plus 1 time the big blind for everybody who's in the pot before us. If he did not raise. Since he did not raise, I'm raising here. I basically have no read on the opponent because I'm playing for like 10 hands or so. I don't have any poker tracker or poker ace reads, so I'm just raising here pre-flop. Not a really good flop for me, but I still can do my continuation bet here and often win the pot, because even if he might have a jack or 10, maybe king queen or 8 9, which all have draws that can call, many hands he did just limp pre-flop, call the big blind pre-flop. He now has to play check and then fold because he did not hit. And you normally do not want to bluff somebody who is raising from under the gun from the early positions. If you call the big blind from here and I'm raising from here, my range is pretty thin, and I might even have hit the board pretty hard. And so pocket nines is one hand besides ace king and ace queen I do have to fold. All the other hands I'm raising from here have hit hard, like tens and jacks did, or at least have an overpair, which I'm not that often folding on this limit, because people are so stupid that you can get much value out of your overpairs. And if you sometimes do walk into somebody with 2 pairs set, it happens, but most of the time I'm not laying down my overpairs here. 9-6 offsuit can easily be folded. It's not listed in the starting hands chart, and I think everybody who has like a little bit of understanding of poker does know that this hand has like basically no value, because it's like an offsuited 3-gabber, like you call it. It is 3 cards between the 6 and the 9, the 7. No, it's 2 cards. It's an offsuit 2-gabber. I'm sorry. 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, it's an offsuit 2-gabber. Even now, it's still 2 cards in between. So the straight value is not that big. High card value is with 9 high. Not that good either, and you can't get any good flush because you get a 1-card flush 6 high or 9 high, which is not anything you want to put money in with. Here I'm just checking and folding. I'm not trying to bluff unknown opponents on this limit, even if the board might be considered good for bluffing here, even unknowns, because it's very scary, and if nobody hit, maybe they fold. But the problem is, maybe they don't fold. They often don't fold because they call with like ace high, king high. and something, and which is actually the best hand. Now things have changed. I do have a 2 pair here, and since he checked behind on the flop, he normally would bet a 6 or a 7 on the flop, and he checked the turn. He would, even if he checks the flop, he would normally bet the turn with a 6 or a 7, because he cannot, if neither he or I did bet the flop, he cannot really expect us to bet the turn, so he normally has to bet the turn himself if he wants any money in the pot. If he doesn't bet, I'm expecting him just to have nothing and then fold, like I did here. I have nothing, I fold. So that's basically it. Back to the misplayed aces. The problem with the flop, one thing I wanted to say, to add there, the main problem with a flop is that he is not going to get any action from a hand he beats normally. That's a big problem, because on this board I'm not gonna play a real big pot with like top pair, top kicker with ace queen or something. Even with king queen, if I do have the redraw for the straight, I'm not gonna get that much money into the pot, because there's like no real hand I can beat that puts money into the pot. I mean, if I have king queen on a queen jack 10 board, what hand can my opponent have that I beat and that is still willing to put money in the pot? If he has ace queen, he has me beat. If he has ace jack, he just has second pair to the board. He's not gonna play a big pot with it normally. If he has even worse than a pair of jacks, well, he just normally just going to fold. Wait a second, here is a hand we might play. We're looking up in the starting hands chart. We're in middle position actually. We have the blinds, we have the early position, so we have here the middle position, and the starting hands chart just says we just call the big blind. So we do that, and look what's gonna happen then. Yeah, that's a problem. If you call with a small pocket pair and then you get a raise behind you, it's not a real good situation. It's not that you cannot win the hand, it's not that you cannot win a big pot, but you do have to pay attention to stack sizes here. We're doing a bit math. He raises 16 cents more, I have to call 16 cents. He has almost the same stack that I do. Well. Alright, now one more thing we can easily fold here. Of course, we're not going to call the re-raise. We would have called the raise, since it's just 16 cents more. If you multiply that by like 20, say it would be 320. If you multiply it by 25, it would still be, it would still be below like his stack. I'm not really sure, because I'm not having a calculator here, but it's still below of his stack sin. So I do have to call 16 cents more, and he has more than the 25 times of what he raised. So you can say if I lose the pot 24 times, or 20, let's say 23 times out of 25, and I do once get his full stack into the pot, then I'm still playing profitable. The fact is that I'm normally getting more than here. Queen 5 is of course a fold. Here king 9, and something I'm using very often. If I do have a hand I do not want to play, nothing can happen. These three people can do, even if they all do call the big blind, I'm still not calling or raising, so I just can click the fold button here before the action is to me. So I do have more time for other things, paying attention to other tables, to the action, and something. It's just saving you money if you do really know what to do with your hand. Here it's something I'm not sure. I might even fold if somebody raises in front of me, but if nobody raises, normally I'm going to raise. So here I can't click fold, call, or bet pot, because I don't know which I'm doing. By the way, I'm not raising pot size, I'm raising a little bit more, but that's something else. So we're calculating the size of the raise. We have 4 times the big blinds plus 1, 2, 3, 7 times the big blind, 7 times. It's 28. Is it? It is 28 cents. And now we're trying to look at flop. One good thing has happened. Those two people have folded, so I do have position on the flop. I can decide behind of my enemy, which is normally a very good thing to do, because it gives me more possibilities to get the flop unimproved like I am now. I do still have a gut shot straight draw with a queen. A queen would give me a straight. If it's not the queen of spades, it would be even the nut straight. But that's not nothing I really wanted to have on the flop. I wanted to have some aces or jacks coming. But even now, if I miss, I'm normally winning the pot with my aggression before the flop, because his hand is improving. Like, well, if he has two cards that are not paired, he is improving in like 1 time out of 3. So in 2 times out of 3, he has on the flop he normally has more or less nothing. He might have some gut shot or even an open end straight draw, which I'm still ahead of. He might have a flush draw, which also is not nothing, but I still am ahead of most flush draws if he does not have like ace queen of spades or something. Or he might have hit a pair to a flush draw, which is also unlikely. I'm pretty often ahead here if he did not hit, and he's going to fold then. He's normally folding like live outs, sometimes even the best hand. If he has a small pocket pair, he's folding it. So I'm a favorite to win this pot even if I'm unimproved. But if I do get a call or even a raise, I'm normally out of, well, normally I am directly out of the hand, because I do have just ace high, and no limit is not what you consider a good hand. Here I'm of course raising with ace king. Nothing you do really have to think about. If nobody raises before you, no matter how many people are in the pot, I'm raising, because with ace king there's like just 2 hands I do have to fear. It's aces and kings. The rest can call, of course, because even if I do am a slight underdog to small pocket pairs, or even to bigger pocket pairs that are not as big as kings and queens, I still have the possibility to get them to fold on the flop, the best hand on the flop, like he might have done now. It's clearly possible he had a small pocket pair and he did not want to play on that flop, because I might have a queen, I might have a bigger pocket pair than he does, and the problem is he might even have to call 1 or 2 more bullets before seeing a showdown against the worst hand, because even if I do have ace king, and even if he does put me on ace king on the flop, I might still fire the turnet, I still might fire the river, and I might hit. So the best option he most of the time has is just to fold if he did not hit. Here king queen suited is also good enough to raise even 2 limpers. Now we're having 16 as base, 20, 24, so we're raising 24 cents. Look at what's gonna happen here. 10 deuce, we're not going to raise. We just check, see a flop, hit absolutely nothing. We have a gut shot straight. Oops, I did not want to fold right now. I wanted to check, so I'm not sure I'm folding. Even if there's not much that can happen, I'm gonna play a pot here. I still don't fold the hand, because I might hit an 8, or even my 10 high might be good. So here's the question what to do. We can call, we can raise, we can fold. I'm gonna raise here, because his lead is really, really weak. And a hand he easily might have is a small pocket pair, like deuces, even up to 9s. 9s he's normally not folding. Small pocket pairs, or maybe a 6, he's often folding on this flop, because it looks really, really scared to him. The board is very dry, there's nothing I really can semi-bluff him with. I raised him before the flop, and I raise him on the flop. The most likely hand I'm gonna have here is an overpair, and my overpair is if he did not slow roll aces or kings. My most likely overpair is stronger than his pair if he did even have one. Sometimes you see people bluffing here for a small amount, because they think I did not hit, and they think I fold if I did not hit, which is in this case untrue. So I win the pot basically by bluffing. I don't think I had the best hand here, but I saw a good possibility he is folding his best hand, so it's okay. Why don't I think I had the best hand? Well, king high is not ahead of that many hands. If he has a small pocket pair or even ace high, he's ahead of me. So it's okay here. The starting hands chart says we're gonna call the big blind out of this position. We are in late position. Couple of callers before us. No, that's wrong. I think we're saying we have some limpers. And now we get a bet. We have a second pair to the board. That's not enough to call here. He's betting into, I don't even know, 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe it was even a 5th player. So he's betting into 4 or 5 players. on this board there's exactly one hand I'm beating. It's a flush draw that's semi-bluffing, but it's very much more likely that somebody at least has a queen here, maybe even more. So I'm just folding here to avoid more problems post flop I could have on the turn or on the river. Because if like clubs hit on the turn, I still have the jack of clubs as a redraw. I can't really fold to a small bet, and on the river I'm still not sure if I can fold to a small bet because I do not know what's happening. On the other hand, if he fires a turn again, I don't know if he's barreling 2 with a flush draw or something, I might talk myself into a call. Here ace 4 is 4. I might talk myself eventually in a call, which is not a good thing. So second pair to the board in an unraised pot is not that good that I'm gonna play it unless I do have some sort of redraw. All the pot odds are really good. Not like here, he bet like a little bit more than a third of the pot, I think. If it's like 1 to 10, like we have a min raise before the flop and then somebody bets a minimum, I could call with a second pair because I'm just drawing to 2 pair for trips. But here I did not have the good odds, and I did not have any implied odds because his deck is not that big. So I'm just folding. Back to the hand here, ace 4. We have one limper in front of us. That's a hand a good player or an experienced player might play because he has position, he has a button, he has one person that limps a lot of pots. I still do not use Poker Tracker Poker Ace for this video. 1 second. Here we fold because we're in middle position and we don't play a hand like Queen Jack offsuit out of middle position. Here we might have raised because he's limping a lot of pots, which basically means his range for limping is very big, which means he has a bad hand or not that good of a hand, and he is often going to have to fold it, and he cannot hit that many flops real good to keep on playing if he's out of position. The blinds also will fold a good amount of the time, good amount of time, because it's still some sort of a steal situation, but it's not a real steal situation because somebody entered the pot before I raised. So basically I'm attacking his small blind, his big blind, and his big blind he put in voluntarily, but it's not that much of a steal situation if he did not limp and I open raise my button. So they will be very inclined to fold, and he is going to fold either pre-flop, which he did at least once to my pre-flop raise, or he's going to fold post-flop very often. So it's a profitable situation, but ace 4 is a hand that plays pretty bad. It has some equity against good hands and against bad hands. Against better hands I basically do have a 3-outer, because if he has a pocket pair that's bigger than 3 is not that good of a hand, but still better than mine. I still do have the ace as the Nova card, and I also do have the ace to very unlikely but possible holding for him like kings or something. I still might make a pair of aces. That's something good. Something bad is if I do hit an ace, I still might be beat, especially by the blinds because they call my raise. He just calls the big blind and then calls my raise, which basically means, not for sure of course, but it's a low possibility for him to have a real big ace, because if he has like ace king, ace queen, or ace jack, something like that, he would have raised himself. So he did not raise. I'm ruling those hands out of his range, and for that reason I guess he is not that dangerous. But the blinds, if they call pre-flop and then call or give me action on ace high board, and I just have ace 4, there is a high possibility. Whoa, sorry, my phone is ringing. Alright, welcome back to my video. I had a phone call by my girlfriend, which lasts a little bit longer. I kept playing the 2 tables because I didn't want to sit out and start new ones if I resume the video. So you might see that I have a little more money on the left because I just won a mediocre pot there. So okay, back to business. Still playing the same game as before. For you, it's been just a delay of like thousands a thousandth part of a second. For me, it's been a little bit longer, so I just have to come back. Here, King Jack offsuit is of course not good enough to play from early position. You might remember the starting hands chart, which plays King Jack offsuit, or King Jack basically, no matter if suited or not, out of late position, not even in middle position, we can play this hand. We just lay it down because King Jack might look good for a beginner because, well, it's a king, it's a jack, it's two high cards. You can make a Broadway straight. You can flop big pairs like kings or jacks. But the problem with King Jack is if we call the big blind there and get no raise behind us, most of the time somebody is calling the big blind behind us. So in 2 out of 3 times on the flop we have like nothing, maybe overcards, which is of course a real bad hand on no limit hold'em. You can't play it, so you have to fold normally. The second, what else can we flop? We can get one pair hands like a lone king or a lone jack, which also is not that good of a hand in an unraised pot, because the problem is our hand is pretty strong for an unraised pot, but it's the weakest hand you should be playing in an unraised pot. The weakest hand you should normally be playing there is in top pair with a good kicker. Less you normally don't play because unless you have like position, you are heads up, you have some reads or so. Normally you don't play hands that are weaker than top pair and okay kicker, because, well, it's a hand you can win a pot with second pair or top pair no kicker. You don't really want to play pots with, because you're not that big of a favorite. Because with top pair and a good kicker, there is one hand people can have that you dominate and that they are willing to put money in the pot. It's basically top pair no kicker. That's the reason why you should not be playing top pair no kicker while other people play top pair no kicker. That's something you do earn money with. But the problem with it is that in an unraised pot with like 4 or 5 handed to the flop, and you flop one pair with king jack, you might easily be beaten. And if you come from early position, it might be expensive to find out. So you either have to fold and don't know where you stand, or you have to call down all the way if you get action, just to see some weird king 3 offsuit which made 2 pair, or set also, of course, possible. The next opinion, the next possibility we have from early position with king jack, if we don't want to call the big blind, we could raise. But the problem is, if we raise from this position, a fair amount of time somebody behind us does have a real quality hand like ace king or kings or aces or something, who is going to re-raise us, so we just have to lay down our hand and invested money without seeing a flop or something. Well, this here is a case where I have to fold my small pocket pair, because his stack is like 10 times of what he raised, which is not enough, by far not enough to call for implied odds, because in 7 out of 8 times I'm gonna have to fold my hand on the flop because it did not hit, and I normally do not play pocket 3s against an aggressor on a full ring table post flop if I do not improve. So in 7 out of 8 times I will have to fold my hand, and just in 1 out of 8 times I'm gonna hit a hand. But he just has 10 times left of what he raised, so I'm basically going to have to get his full stack into the pot in a little bit more than 1 time. I get a set out of the 10 times he raised, so it's not profitable for me. Here I have a second pair in an unraised pot on a real dry board, and I get a call by the button. The button might easily have here a hand like ace, a low suited ace. He's not going to raise me with it on the flop correctly. It would be a bad play to raise here normally, but I'm not going to fire any more money into this pot without being like sure I have the best hand, or at least I'm getting good odds. Here I think I'm gonna call this one bet, just because it's possible he called the flop with a worse 5 than mine and then fired the turn. but in most cases he's going to have an ace, show up with an ace here, and I'm going to lose the pot. The second thing why I call here is because I'm pretty certain that a 5 and a queen give me the best hand, and I'm pretty certain that if I do not have the best hand right now and make it with a 5 or a queen, I'm going to get like a full pot sized bet from my opponent. If he has an ace, I hit a 5 or a queen, I'm gonna fire the river for about full pot, and he's going to call very often on this limit with an ace. So here I have two things which make calling okay. The first thing is I might have the best hand against the worth 5, which is normally going to check the river behind and not going to fire another bullet. And on the other hand, I might even get one more bet out of a worse hand, out of a hand that was better than mine on the turn, but is worth on the river if I hit and I still have 5 outs. And the pot odds were really good against half pot size bet or more. I would have folded, but that was like not even a third of the pot. But as I said, most of the time he's going to show up with ace rag here, like he did ace 9 offsuit. Of course, not that good to just call the big blind there pre-flop from the button. Raising is better, and in my opinion, even folding is better than just calling, because if you raise pre-flop, you often get the blinds directly, and you often, even if you do not make your hand, you often get the money that went in pre-flop on the flop, because people have to fold if they don't hit. And if you just call the big blind with a hand like ace 9, you have the exact same problem you do have with king jack in an unraised pot. You might hit a hand that looks okay, like a top pair of 9s is possible, or top pair of aces, but in an unraised pot it's really unlikely to be good if lots of money go in. So the hand you flop normally can just play a small sized pot, and that's not really a thing you are aiming for on No Limit Hold'em. You're normally aiming for playing big pots with the best of it. So you try to play, you basically win most of your money with winning real big pots and being a favorite in it. Like you go all in with a set against an overpair or something. If you have a real big edge and the pot is big, that's okay. But with ace 9, unless you flop like a full house or trip 9s, there's nothing or not that much you can play a big pot with, so it's not okay. The one thing you do have in favor with ace 9 from the button, if you just limp, you at least have position, but that's basically it. Here, pocket kings, of course, I raise. I have one caller in front of me, so I raise 5 big blinds. It's 20 cents. And we see what happens here. Of course, I'm not laying down pre-flop, and unless an ace or a real ugly flop comes, I'm not laying down this hand. This flop is not the best, but still good enough to get in all the money of his. I would not really like to go all in on this flop against a full stack, but against a half stack, of course I do. Since the board is pretty draw heavy, there are lots of possible straight draws or pair plus backdoor straight flush draw is out there. So I'm basically firing almost full pot. If it would have check raised and it would not have been all in, like a check and then a minimum raise, I still would have gone all in over him, because I'm still normally a big favorite against his range, because he on this board he needs 2 pair or trips to beat me, or he might be like with pair and flush draw, or straight draw with a flush draw. He might be even money against me, but the times he has like 8-9 or a set of 8s or a set of 9s is outweighed by far by the times he has a bare flush draw or just one pair and he does not believe in my overpair. So it's basically okay to get the money in there against the half stack. Against the full stack, reads might get important, because against a real bad full stack I would go all in there, and most of the big stacks on this limit are real bad big stacks. But against somebody who is at least trying to play tight aggressive poker and seems at least a bit competent post flop, I might still be able to get away for 125 big blinds. Okay, here basically the same hand we had in the last hand, so I'm again firing. If he calls, it's a question if I now can check fold the turn, and I think I do can, unless I hit. This is the exact same situation I was talking about. He now, from the tile he played, he is often going to have an ace here, a bare ace. He does not have two pair. He normally has a bare ace. So on this limit, what he's going to do is normally he's going to call my bet here, and he's going to call river bet here. The fact that here are three clubs on the board is not that bad because it was backdoor. He might have like ace 3 of clubs or so and made it backdoor flush, but I'm going to get that. Normally I'm just going to bet, he's going to call if he has the worst hand, and if he raises I can be pretty certain that he does have me beat, because especially after the turn call I put him normally on the ace, a bare ace, and well, now he folded. Maybe he had the ace and folded it, maybe he did not have the ace, but the problem is a good thing for you is that people on low stakes are not that much likely to put a bad hand that has showdown value, but not that much, into a bluff. A good player might think here, well, he fired 3 times into me, he normally has a better hand than mine. Sometimes I might have air because of the last hand. I might be pissed on him or something and try to bluff him, but normally I do have a better hand than he does. But a really good player might think here with a bare ace, might think of a bluff raise, because for me it's the same with him. No, not really. I could have ace rack of clubs, but normally I would have checked the turn there, because on the turn there is no worse hand that calls my bet if I have a low ace with clubs, and I do not want to get raised, because if I'm behind to a set or to something, I do not want him to raise because I still have the redraw. And that would be a reason for that. So a good player might see here that it's really unlikely for me to have a flush. So the flush is at least a bit of a scare card. Not that much because it was backdoor, but if I do not have like the ace of clubs or so, it really makes sense for him to have a hand like ace rack of clubs with just the pair of aces. So I would get a real hard time, even if I do have a pair of aces beat, which I had with a mediocre 2 pair. I would get a real hard time to call a river raise. So he could raise there with a mate hand to get most likely better mate hand to fold. On this limit it doesn't make much sense, and on this limit most of the people do not get that deep into the action to understand that. If he has the pair of aces, he's thinking, I have a pair of aces, he bet 3 times, maybe he has got me beat. Or I have a pair of aces, he bet 3 times, I don't care, I call. But that's normally his thought process. He does not think if my hand can stand a raise. That's not how far he thinks normally. So I do not have to care about that, getting bluff raised on a river by that, when it's really likely that he have a weak mate hand. Here ace queen, nice hand, and a nice flop of course. Top pair with top kicker on this board is really good, which is actually the reason for me raising, because whoa, there still is a flush draw out there, and I do not want to get I do not want people here to draw cheaply. Now the jack is a bad card, since I'm basically only ahead of draws. He might have king queen of course, but as well he might have queen jack, and queen 10 now makes an open trade. The obvious 9 has me beat, and he cold calls a bet and a raise, so I'm going to check behind here, hope for a safe river, and see what he does. If he leads strong, I'm going to fold, because his hand really looks like a 9 then. But if he checks the river again, I think he either has a busted draw, or he has a weak queen, or even worse, like jack 10 made a pair of jacks on the river. So I'm going to value bet against a weak queen and a possible jack. I can't bet that much because his hand, by checking 3 times, does not look strong. and I really can't expect him to call a real big bet. But I still can expect a hand like Queen 10, King Queen, or even a worse queen is also possible on this limit. That he had like Queen Deuce suited or something. Is normally going to call at least a river bet weak like that. So I have to value bet there. Of course, I do let a free card for draws come off, but the possibility here that the problem is I'm in real bad shape is if he has a 9. If he has a 9, I'm basically screwed, and I do not want to risk here. I do not want to give him the possibility to get all his money in with a 9 in this hand. So if I do not want that to happen, the pot is already like 2/3 of his stack big. If I bet the turn, I'm basically committed to the hand, and if he has 9, it's not a good thing to commit myself there, especially with the jack hitting. If like the deuce, if like a deuce and the non-spade hit, I normally bet the turn there, I think, because there is like, besides the 9 and aces and kings, there's no hand that beats me. But with the jack hitting, the problem is that even the worst queens that can call me are not that much worth than my hand is anymore, because the 10 makes no pen straight, the queen has me beat, king queen also adds a gut shot. So I have the problem of being a mediocre favorite or a real big dog, and so that's no case I want to put money in. So I just check behind, see the river, fold a real big river bet, call a smallish one, and value bet if he checks. So I think this is a good last word. We have like 42 minutes, which is an okay length for a video. I hope you understood my English. I do understand my English, but that doesn't really help you. If it's not okay, let me know. I think we will find a way to find out if it's worth making more English videos or not. Anyways, I thank you for watching, and goodbye.